One moment. We are checking something. Because generally speaking, we are not really allowed to comment deeply on your politics. But since things are changing somewhat in the near future, we are checking to see what we are allowed to say. I cannot give you specifics about the country of Canada. I am allowed to give you some very general specifics about the election in the United States. However, there must be caveats with this, since we are normally not allowed to comment on such things. There are certain things we can say, but if we say them, because it is your world, are you willing to take responsibility for the responses of your population to what we are about to say? And before you answer, think carefully about what that means. Are you willing to take responsibility for what we are about to say? Be sure the answer is yes.
Yes.
All right. This is what we are allowed to say. The female will lead to open contact. Do I need to say more?
No.
Are you willing to take responsibility for the information?
Yes.
The male will lead to the termination of the United States and World War III. End of comment.
Okay.
Understand that what we have been allowed to do here today is highly unusual and only indicative of the fact that you are closer to contact than you were before.
Is an anomaly. He's someone that doesn't fit the norm. You expected a man to be like the other presidents. You wanted him to be more presidential. He's so transparent. You wanted him to put on a suit and act dignified, like the thieves and robbers that dress in suits and tell lies. You wanted him to be like that. And you're angry because he's your reflection. He's an anomaly. You can't make him what you desire him to be so that you can say, oh, that's my president. He wasn't made that way. God has him here. What did you say, Farrakhan? Do you think that God is not interested in who is president of the United States of America? Especially when it's out of the time of evil? It's in our time now?
Mr. Trump, he's like a gangster. What? Just a minute, you know. If so-and-so's, I'll bomb the you-know-what out of them. Huh? I said, man, this guy here, And you know what? He's real.
Correspondent Trey Yanks is live again in Tel Aviv tonight. Good evening, Trey.
Brett, good evening. Right now, there's no end in sight to the war between Israel and Iran. The Israeli Security Cabinet met tonight to discuss the next steps in this conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked President Trump today as the region waits to see if the U.S. will get more directly involved in the fight.
I wish to thank President Trump, a great friend of the State of Israel. I thank him for standing by us, and I thank him for the support the United States is providing us in defending Israel's skies.
In Tel Aviv, new billboards were put up with a message for President Trump. They say, "Mr. President, finish the job." Tel Aviv, like many other Israeli cities, came under fresh missile fire this afternoon, sending millions of people into bomb shelters. Today, Israeli airstrikes continued to pound the Iranian capital of Tehran, in addition to strikes that went after ballistic missile launchers. Still, Iran vows to continue its attacks against Israel, rejecting calls for a surrender, while Iran's leader made his first televised remarks since the war began.
Threats do not affect the behavior of the Iranian nation and the thoughts of the Iranian nation. Secondly, telling the Iranian nation to come and surrender is not a wise thing to do.
More Iranian missiles targeted central Israel tonight, the IDF telling Fox News they were shot out of the sky. Brett?
Trey Yanks, live in Tel Aviv. Trey, thanks.
I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
A policy speech in 2 weeks, and I think you're going to like it.
We're going to be announcing something, I would say, over the next 2 or 3 weeks that will be phenomenal in terms of tax.
Wiretap covers a lot of different things. I think you're going to find some very interesting items coming to the forefront over the next 2 weeks.
We'll be reporting back sometime over the next 2 weeks as to NAFTA.
I'll be making a big decision on the Paris Accord over the next 2 weeks.
What about infrastructure? When is that going to happen?
We're going to do infrastructure very quickly. We've got the plan largely completed, and we'll be filing it over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
When will you make that decision?
Over the next couple of weeks.
We're doing very well in the fight against ISIS, as General Mattis has just explained, and we're going to be having a news conference in about 2 weeks to let everybody know how well we're doing.
And the mines are starting to open up. We're having a big opening in 2 weeks.
We've had tremendous success against ISIS in our fight in the Middle East. We're doing very, very well. We're going to be having a news conference in 2 weeks on that fight.
Our Secretary of Labor is coming out with a plan in 2 weeks.
You're going to have some big news. I think we're going to have some of the big drug companies in 2 weeks. We are coming out with that plan in 2 weeks. We are coming out with so many health care plans.
And women, unemployment recently reached the 65-year low. We think that's probably the lowest ever. But as I've been saying, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it will be. Within 2 weeks, I think you'll be historic numbers. We're signing that deal in 2 weeks. We have the dumbest immigration laws in the whole world. Watch what happens over the next couple of weeks, folks. Wait till you see what happens over the next couple of weeks. You're going to see a very secure border.
We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. We're going to be seeing a lot over the next couple of weeks.
I like her very much. In fact, I'll be seeing her in 2 weeks.
And we're going to have another big announcement in 2 weeks that'll take place over the next 2 weeks.
And we're doing one other thing that, believe it or not, is even bigger, but you'll be seeing that over the next 2 weeks.
It doesn't have to be today. It can be tomorrow. And it can be in 2 weeks from now. You understand.
I said, do me a favor. Tell the Prime Minister that I'll call him back in 2 weeks. I'm busy. He said, 2 weeks? That's a long time.
It'll be under construction very shortly, in a couple of weeks.
The peak, the highest point of death rates, remember this, is likely to hit in 2 weeks. We have tests coming out, perhaps over the next 2 weeks, that will blow the whole industry away. And you'll be seeing this over the next couple of weeks.
The coronavirus is disproportionately affecting communities of color. I wanted to know what your administration will do to address this.
We're coming out with a report in 2 weeks on it, and I want to get to the bottom of it, too, because it's a totally disproportional effect. It really is. It's pretty amazing, actually. We will be doing another stimulus package. It'll be very good.
When are you going to do it? When are you going to announce it?
I think over the next, I think it's going to be bipartisan. I think it's going to be over the next couple of weeks, probably.
I want to ask you about minimum wage.
I'll have a statement over the next 2 weeks on minimum wage. We're going to have another exciting news conference over the next, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks? What do you think? Maybe in 100 years from now, maybe in 2 weeks. Who knows? The problem is, folks, they all have a memory, including us. 2 weeks.